In the face of mounting threats from Iran, the United States has issued a resounding message of solidarity with Israel. In recent times, we've seen a sharp increase in threats emanating from Iran. This surge in tensions has led to a heightened sense of alert globally, with various nations keeping a close eye on the unfolding developments. Amid this, the United States' support for Israel remains unflinching, a beacon of constancy in a sea of uncertainty. President Joe Biden recently reinforced this sentiment, stating unequivocally that the U.S.'s support for Israel is ironclad. This assertion sends a strong signal, not just to Iran, but to the world at large. It underscores the importance of the U.S.-Israel relationship in the face of escalating tensions and potential threats. The impact of this ironclad support on the global stage cannot be understated. It serves as a powerful reminder of the strategic alliance between the United States and Israel, an alliance that has withstood the test of time and now is being tested once again by the growing pressures from Iran. Biden's statement also comes at a time when Iran is stepping up its nuclear activities. The country's decision to enrich uranium at 60% has been met with disapproval from the U.S. president. However, he also acknowledged Iran's willingness to engage in indirect talks with the United States, signaling a glimmer of hope for diplomatic resolution. But as the situation continues to evolve, the U.S.'s ironclad support for Israel remains a critical factor, a deterrent for potential escalations and a reassurance for Israel in these testing times. As the world watches, the stakes continue to rise, with the U.S. standing firm in its backing of Israel. This steadfast support paints a clear picture of the United States' commitment to its allies, the lengths it will go to protect them, and the complex dynamics at play in this high-stakes geopolitical chessboard. To understand the present, we must first delve into the past. As we trace the roots of the Iran-Israel-US relationship, we find ourselves at the signing of the Iran nuclear deal. It was a time of hope, a time of cautious optimism. This agreement was seen as a key to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions, to ensure that the pursuit of power did not tip the scales towards destruction. Yet the journey from pen to practice is often fraught with twists and turns. Despite the deal, Iran decided to increase its uranium enrichment. This move, seen as a defiance of the agreement's terms, sent ripples across the diplomatic landscape. It was a decision that sparked concern, not just in the US, but across the globe. Iran's uranium enrichment climbed to 60%, a number that seemed to edge ever closer to the threshold of weapon-grade levels. In response, the United States, under President Joe Biden's administration, expressed disapproval. But it was a disapproval tinged with a hint of optimism. Yes, there was concern over Iran's decision to enrich uranium beyond agreed levels. But there was also acknowledgement of Iran's willingness to engage in indirect talks with the United States. It was a silver lining in a clouded sky, a sign that dialogue was not entirely off the table. Amidst these developments, the relationship between Israel and the U.S. found itself in the spotlight. President Biden, during his first trip to the Middle East, emphasized the ironclad support of the U.S. for Israel. It was a reaffirmation, a pledge of alliance in a time of escalating tensions. Yet, as we trace these threads of history, we find that they are intertwined with complexities and contradictions. The Biden administration's focus on the Abraham Accords and the normalization of Arab-Israeli ties has led to frustration among Palestinian officials. The push for security and economic ties seems to have overshadowed the quest for peace in the Israeli-Palestinian context. And so, we find ourselves in the midst of a new chapter in this ongoing saga. As tensions rise and alliances are tested, the chronology of conflict continues to evolve. The path forward remains uncertain, as the players on this global stage grapple with the challenges of the present, shaped by the echoes of the past. In the midst of all this, a historic agreement stands out: the Abraham Accords. This significant pact brought together nations that have long stood on opposite sides of the divide. Initially signed in the year 2020, the Accords marked a dramatic shift in the dynamics of the Middle East, forging diplomatic relations between Israel and several Arab nations, including the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. But the Accords did more than just establish diplomatic ties. They painted a promising picture of enhanced Arab-Israeli security and economic relations, signaling the beginning of a new chapter in Middle Eastern politics. The Accords were, in essence, a testament to the potential for peace and cooperation in a region that had been plagued by conflict for decades. Fast forward 4 years, and the Abraham Accords continue to play a pivotal role in shaping the geopolitical landscape. During his first trip to the Middle East, President Joe Biden embraced the Accords, echoing a commitment to deepening Israel's relationship with the United States and the region. Biden's endorsement of the Accords was not only a nod to the previous administration's foreign policy achievements, but also a sign of his administration's focus on expanding Arab-Israeli ties. This, however, has sparked frustration among Palestinian officials, who are keen on reviving the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. Yet amid the myriad of complexities, one thing becomes apparent. The Abraham Accords have opened avenues for dialogue and negotiation that were previously seen as improbable. The Accords have even sparked hopes for progress towards normalization with Saudi Arabia, a development that could further transform the dynamics of the region. In a world where conflict often dominates the headlines, the Abraham Accords stand as a beacon of hope, a reminder of what diplomacy and dialogue can achieve. They represent the possibility of a future where nations that have historically been at odds can coexist in peace and cooperation. The Abraham Accords, a beacon of hope in a region often marked by conflict. Now let's bring our focus back to the present. The geopolitical chessboard is alive with moves and countermoves. One of the key developments to note is Iran's decision to increase its uranium enrichment to 60%. This move is seen by many as a stepping stone towards the development of nuclear weapons, a charge that Iran vehemently denies. This decision, however, flies in the face of the Iran nuclear deal and has drawn criticism from many quarters, including the United States. President Joe Biden, while expressing disapproval of Iran's nuclear enrichment, has also acknowledged Iran's willingness to engage in indirect talks with the United States. This is a significant development as it shows that despite the tensions and disagreements, both sides are open to dialogue. This willingness to talk, to negotiate, is a glimmer of hope in an otherwise tense situation. In the midst of this, President Biden embarked on his first trip to the Middle East, where he embraced the Abraham Accords, a Trump-era achievement that focuses on expanding Arab-Israeli security and economic ties. Biden's visit was aimed at deepening Israel's relationship with the United States and the region, and to enhance Israeli-Arab security coordination. This reaffirms the United States' commitment to Israel's security, a commitment that Biden has termed as Ironclad. But it's not just about security. The visit also saw plans to announce $100 million in new funding for Palestinian hospitals and aid packages for the Palestinian Authority. This is a clear indication that the U.S. is keen on playing a balanced role in the region, supporting not just Israel, but also the Palestinian cause. This is the current state of affairs, a delicate balancing act, a high-stakes game of diplomacy, where every move is carefully calculated and every statement meticulously crafted. As we speak, the wheels of diplomacy are in motion, with the world eagerly awaiting the outcome. In the face of increasing Iran threats, the U.S.'s ironclad support for Israel remains unwavering. From the rising tensions in the Middle East to the chronology of conflict, we've delved deep into the complexities of this geopolitical situation. We've looked at the Abraham Accords, a signature achievement of the Trump era, embraced and expanded upon by President Biden. His first trip to the Middle East saw a focus on enhancing Arab-Israeli security and economic ties, while also aiming to bring Israel and Saudi Arabia closer. The current scenario reveals a delicate balance, with Biden expressing disapproval of Iran's decision to enrich uranium to 60%, yet acknowledging their willingness to engage in indirect talks. Meanwhile, amid these swirling currents, the U.S. maintains its ironclad support for Israel. As the world watches on, one thing is certain: the U.S. stands firmly with Israel. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.